Dear sewing friends, it's Elisa here, and today we are sewing and drafting this beautiful and such a versatile garment like knit pencil skirt. And for that you will need just three very simple things. Number one, you will need just about 1 yard of fabric, and here's a little tip. If you hit the remnant section of your local fabric store, for me that's usually Joann's or Hobby Lobby, then you can find remnants that are just about a yard for 50% off. So this is very budget friendly for anybody out there. And then you will need three simple measurements of your body, which makes it for a great beginner project for any skill level. And the last thing, just about 1 hour of your time. This is very quick and easy, and the pencil skirt is great for any season, summer, winter, or anything in between really. So I hope you will make some with me. So let's get started. So the three measurements that you're going to need to create this pattern are very simple and very straightforward. And if you've been with me for quite some time, or maybe quite a few tutorials, then you will know that we always start with the length of the actual garment. You're going to take your measuring tape and we're going to start at your waist, or usually that's where your belly button is at. So either one or the other. And then you're going to drop it as low as you would like it to be. Now, pencil skirt is usually knee length. If you would like to have it mini, then drop it a little bit higher. If you would like to have it even longer, then drop it a little bit lower. So it really depends on your preference. Now, as you have dropped your measuring tape, usually I do this with a little bobbin pin, or you can use a marker or a pin or whatever you have, and I place it on my measuring tape where my hips are at. So as I'm holding my measuring tape, I'm just gonna place this bobbin pin so that way I know where my hips are at, and you will see why in just about a moment. So the desired length for my pencil skirt is going to be 23 inches. So now we have the length of the actual skirt and a little mark where our hips are at on this measurement. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to take the measurement of your waist. You're going to take your measuring tape, you're going to put it all the way around where you've started your measurement for the length of the pencil skirt. So right there on your waist or on your belly button. And then you don't want to pinch, you don't want to be too loose, you want to measure just as it is. And then once you have that, take it away, fold it in half, and that half of the measurement is going to go on your pattern paper. Now for me, this measurement is 15 inches. Now the next thing, we're going to measure it the same way, but we're going to do that for our hips. So you're going to put your measuring tape around your hips, not too tight, not too loose, just about as it is. And then you're going to take it away, you're going to fold it in half, and half of the measurement is going to go on our hip mark on our pattern paper. Now, half of the hip measurement for me is 19 inches. Once you have that measurement on your pattern paper, go ahead and repeat it for the hem of your skirt. Now, after that is done, take away 1 inch on each side of the hem because we want to taper in your skirt so it looks more like a closed tulip rather than a bell shape when you put it on. Alright, and now go ahead and fold your skirt in half, just like this. Once you have all of these three measurements on your pattern paper, let's connect them all, just like, connecting the dots. And then we will add some finishing touches, very subtle touches, but very significant touches that really will make this knit pencil skirt come to life in the most beautiful way. So let's get that done. Use dashed lines to create the curves of your pencil skirt. And remember, smooth lines work better for knit fabrics. To save this pattern for future use, go ahead and write down its name. It's knit pencil skirt. You're going to cut two pieces of this pattern, and the front and the back are going to be identical. Then go ahead and mark the direction of the stretch, and let's cut it out. Now, important thing to mention here, I don't draft any of my patterns with seam allowances. So if you do like your patterns with seam allowances already added on, go ahead and do it before you cut your pattern. Now let's talk about ease. Ease is very important, especially when we talk about form-fitting knit garments. When we talk about woven fabrics, a lot of times ease will be positive. When we talk about knit garments, a lot of times ease might be negative. That means that when you are ready to cut your fabric, you're going to cut it a little bit smaller than your actual master pattern, which is this knit pencil skirt. So what I usually do is I cut out my pattern and then I put it on myself and I pin it in place, and then I am able to establish how much do I need to take it in so that way it sits just right. When you're cutting your fabric, don't forget that we drafted our master pattern without any seam allowances and without hem of the skirt as well. So definitely add those in as you're cutting your fabric. When your skirt is cut out, go ahead and mark the top of the skirt, and I usually do that just with a pin needle, and then place it right sides together and let's sew the side seams. I am using a serger for my project, however you can use sewing machine without a problem. Use a zigzag stitch, a 3-step zigzag, a lightning stitch, or any other stretch stitches that you might have on your sewing machine. I've been doing that for years without a problem before getting a serger. Now I know some people feel like it's a little bit challenging to sew with knits, and there are some great tips out there for sewing with knit fabrics, and some of them are a little bit more self-explanatory, like you have to have the right needle for stretchy and jersey fabric, and some of them are a little bit more like secret tips and hacks, like using tissue paper underneath your stretchy fabric so that way when you start sewing it's a little bit easier for you and the sewing machine doesn't chew it up. However, I think my biggest tip would be test everything on a scrap fabric first. The tension, the width, the length, the stitch that you want to use. You have a variety of stitches in your sewing machine that you can use for stretch fabric. So I would say before anything else, except for the correct needle, try it on a scrap fabric first. And then I have a question for you guys. What's your biggest tip for sewing with knit fabric? So that way, if you're watching and you're having problems with sewing with knit fabrics, definitely check the comment section below. I'm sure that a lot of people are going to share some fantastic tips for sewing with knits. Once the side seams are done, let's move on to the waistband. Now for the waistband, grab your master pattern and some extra sheets and let's draft it. Pretty much what we want to do is we want to enclose our elastic, and I like my waistband to be just the same size as the elastic so that way it really looks nice and sharp. So my waistband is going to be 1 inch tall and it's going to be on a fold, so altogether 2 inches, and we're just going to continue our skirt. So the waistband is going to be curved and you will see how we're going to make it in just about a moment. And the reason for it, curved waistbands always sit a little bit better, especially if they are on your hips or on your waist. Now the instruction sheet that I'm using right over here to write down my measurements is available for the members of this channel. Now it is a paid function and you do get a lot of extras with it, and one of the extras is the instruction sheets for my drafting videos and some of the templates for my DIY videos. So if you're interested, you can always check it out. There's a join button next to subscribe button. So yeah, check it out and maybe you'll find it useful to you. And again, when you're cutting your waistband, don't forget about any seam allowances that you need to add. And of course, if you did take in your knit pencil skirt, especially at your waist, don't forget to subtract that amount from the width of your waistband. So that way it would match your pencil skirt width at the waist. Cut your waistband, place it right sides together, and let's sew the side seams. Now for the curve of the side seam, if you actually flatten it out like this, it was going to be a little bit easier for you to manage it under your serger or sewing machine, whichever one you have. Now once both of the side seams are done, go ahead and fold your waistband in half and make sure that you match all the side seams, and that way it's really nice and neat. And once you have completed that step, go ahead and take the top of your pencil skirt and insert it inside of your waistband, just like you see me do on a screen. Match the side seams and pin them in place. And then the next step is for us to actually insert this waistband. Now, if you are going to be using elastic like I am going to be doing, then don't forget to leave a little opening so that way we can actually insert the elastic. But you know what? If your fabric is nice and stretchy, and if the skirt that you're making is going to be sitting on your waist, then you can actually skip inserting elastic altogether because it will sit nice and tight. However, I do like the stiffness that the elastic gives and kind of like the stability, so I am going to do elastic for sure. So let's go ahead and insert our waistband. Here you see that little opening that I left for my elastic, and let's go ahead and insert the elastic. And once you are done with your elastic, place the ends of your elastic like so, and let's go ahead and do a few zigzag stitches back and forth so that way our elastic is nice and secure and flat. Now you just have to close that little gap that we left open for the elastic. But you know what? I actually need to take in my waistband just by a tiny bit, so I'm going to serge it one more time to really get that waistband nice and neat and just the right size for the elastic. Finishing line, guys, finishing line. So the last thing for us to do is to hem this pencil skirt, and the possibilities here for you are endless. You can do a zigzag stitch, you can do blind hem stitch, you can do it by hand, you can even add an extra band on the bottom. But I did try out my cover stitch machine on the scrap fabric, and I do think that it looks really nice for this particular pencil skirt. So I think that's what I'm gonna go here for. And can you imagine? You made a wonderful pencil skirt all by yourself. Kudos to you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next tutorial. And remember, sewing is fun, so make it thoughtful, make it creative, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!